The White House sure has its eye on the ball in the wake of Sunday's mass shooting in Las Vegas. Chris Cuomo took the plunge into the Kellyanne Conway horseshit pond on CNN's New Day on Thursday morning. There, he was reminded that what is important to this White House, above all other considerations, is making sure Donald Trump is getting full credit from everyone for being totes awesome. It is really sort of gobsmacking to watch. Hundreds of people injured, 59 dead, including the gunman, and Conway spent the interview complaining that the media is being too harsh on the president. First, she starts off by admitting that her team has been researching how much Democrats have talked about gun control recently, apparently just so she can smuggle some pushback on the Russia investigation into this conversation. I want to say something else. We did a quick search. You will see this conversation is not being had until tragedies like this strike by those who try to be the loudest voices. You see Hillary Clinton, who's out on a book tour talking about herself, not talking about this. You see her rushing to judgment on Twitter the other day while people are still looking through the rubble, searching through the hospitals for their missing loved ones, trying to politicize it. SHE's tweeted about guns exactly 1 time this year. Bernie Sanders, 0 times. Elizabeth Warren, 0 times. They have tweeted about Russia over 30 times, Sanders and Warren. And to approximate CNN's own coverage, your obsession with Russia has been to the exclusion of this conversation. So I know the high horse cavalry loves to run in thumping their chests after the tragedies, but let's step back and have a thoughtful conversation. Later, she complained that CNN wasn't giving Trump enough credit for caring about the victims because it keeps asking about whether he plans to do anything about gun control, and could the man just have a minute to breathe. For God's sake, you want him, after spending the day visiting bedsides, and others are not, you want him to turn around and talk about as HES boarding Air Force One. Yesterday, he was focused on those in need. The day before, he was in Puerto Rico. Not that you give him fair and full coverage, helping other people in need. He has been spending the last month on the ground in Louisiana, Texas, Florida, Puerto Rico, Las Vegas now, helping those in need who have suffered at the hand of natural disasters and, as he says in Las Vegas, a pure act of evil, nothing else to call it. So those conversations will continue. The conversation continued going downhill, with Conway accusing Cuomo of trying to build his entire segment around spitting at anti-Trump talking points, and Cuomo trying to explain that leaders can both comfort the victims and take action on an issue at the same time. But that doesn't fit in with the administration's victimhood narrative of how much everyone hates Trump and refuses to appreciate his incredible awesomeness. Conway the media constantly, the president should unify, so he takes a moment to do that, and you don't like the way HES doing it. HE's not on your timeline, HES not doing it according to what you think should be done on a certain date. That's not acceptable. Why can't you have the conversation? Why can't you admit, too, that at CNN, you and your colleagues have been talking about other things to the exclusion of these issues? Cuomo, they are relevant when they occur. That's like saying, you guys never talked about Puerto Rico's hurricane problems before the hurricane. The issue of gun control and anything else is irrelevant here. The White House exists to fluff Trump's ego and complain about his media coverage. Even in the middle of unimaginable tragedy and suffering by other people, Conway never loses sight of that mission. Then presumably, she goes back into the Oval Office and gets that metaphorical pat on the head from Trump for her bulldog defense. Meanwhile, the suffering of the people continues. The most powerful office in the world is becoming less and less relevant every day. Watch the entire segment below because it has to be seen to be believed. Please note this is a commentary piece. The views and opinions expressed within it are those of the author only and do not necessarily reflect the editorial opinion of IJR.